that big 95 truck trailer.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight. Regular meeting of our City Council, City of East Ridge, January 24th meeting. I'd like to introduce Daniel Beaver, Action Church of East Ridge, to provide our invocation and lead us in our pledge.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity. Let us pray.
Please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here this evening that look at this city and put love and pride into this city and plan to be here to make sure that their voice is heard for this city. Thank you for all your many and abundant blessings, God, and letting us be residents in this city, Lord. Thank you for life itself. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you and freedom to reject you. Thank you most of all for loving us through thick and thin. In the Bible, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, Brian Williams, tonight, and for the various levels of city officials, including our interim city manager, Kenny Custer. And this assembled council tonight, Mike Chauncey, Esther Hilton, Andy Witt, and Jackie Cagle. I'm asking you that you would graciously grant them wisdom to make decisions. Yes, Lord. That not only that they make the best decisions for East Ridge, but that those decisions that are truly best for the citizens who voted for them. I pray for them to have a sense of welfare and represent the true needs of our people. I pray for them to have a keen thirst for justice and righteousness. I pray, God, that you give them the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. I pray that they would have personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agendas set before them tonight. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our city. I pray over the voices from the citizens as they speak tonight, that their voices would also be heard and listened to by our mayor and council. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Beard. Ms. Middleton, roll call, please.
Mayor Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Helton. Here. Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Here.
Councilmember Witt. Here. Assistant City Manager Custer.
Here.
City Attorney Mitchell.
Here. Item 4, consent agenda. I hope that everyone's had a chance to read through the minutes of January 10th agenda work session, the minutes of January 10th regular council meeting, and the approval of the December 2018 financial report. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Witt and a second by Vice Mayor Helton. Do we have any discussion? I do have a item to note. I'm not sure if there was, Ms. Middleton, was there a correction in the minutes in the book? Or was it just a note to it?
On that night.
Yes.
Yes, I
Okay. There was a correction. Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to know if it was in the file minutes. On page 2 of the regular council meeting, citizens communication with Steve Porter, not Steve Porter. Excellent. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Helton.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. At this time, we will entertain communication citizens. Any resident in the city or a business owner will have 5 minutes to come forward and address the council. Okay, we have both of them filled out. So the first one we'll have is Michael Hunter. Come forward, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mike Hunter, and I'm the owner of Colony Apartments at 1511 Rebecca Drive. I actually live in East Brainerd, but I'm the owner of the apartments and have been for 25 years. And what I'd like to speak about, if it's permissible, is about what I've heard is the proposal to put a dog pound across the street from my apartments. I'd like to read this if it's okay, because I'm not used to sitting in front of a
Yes, sir.
bunch of people. Please do not build a dog pound across the road from Colony Apartments. I am surprised that you would consider putting a dog pound so close to a neighborhood of dozens and dozens of apartment homes. The road is not wide. It's not like Southmore. By the way, I was raised in East Ridge. It's not like Southmore or Spring Creek Road. It's a fairly narrow, regular neighborhood type of a road. It'll be like placing this unwelcome facility in front of the residents' front doors because they're so close to the street. It will also harm my business, which I've owned and operated for 25 years, paying my taxes regularly. It will be just a 5-minute walk to restaurants like Fernando's and Haiku Hibachi, which is half a block away. Also 10-minute walk to Food Lion. And my opinion is it will not be good for their businesses. Since the dog pound would be so close to the residents, there will be complaints about barking dogs day and night and smells. Being a landlord, I'm used to complaints from residents, and I like to keep them at a minimum. And I wouldn't be in business for 25 years if I didn't care about people and if I didn't care about making their place a great place for them to live. This would make it extremely close, not like if it were across the street from Ringo Road, but very close to the front doors of folks living across the dead-end narrow road. There will be a problem with parking in our residents' parking places, with people taking our parking spaces, which would require having to call a tow truck, which I don't look forward to doing. The city of East Ridge already owns a lot of property they could use, some right behind this building. There's already a dog pound near East Ridge Hospital, and I do not know why, what the circumstances are for wanting to move to another place. Let's see. Someone else can buy this property that's under consideration and build something that will not cause property owners values to plunge and not be so objectionable and will contribute to more taxes. Someone like me, for instance. Smells, noise, congestion at this dead-end road. These are problems that are not necessary because there are other options, better options that will not treat people unfairly, including myself, a longtime resident and business owner for 25 years in this city. I was raised in East Ridge from the time I was little until my parents moved out when I was 18 years old. I used to walk to the town hall in the summertime and play at the free summer program when I was a child. My dad took me to the East Ridge Fire Station. People can remember that there was an East Ridge Fire Station on Ringo Road. The council is charged with not making things worse, but better. Please don't punish me by hurting my business and by hurting my residents. I'll bet no council member asked for a dog pound to be put in their front yard, and that is what is considering happening to my residents. Please try hard to remember that people that rent their homes are just as important as people that own their homes. And people that choose to own businesses in East Ridge for 25 years, paying taxes and banking here, are important too. Between the time I have lived in East Ridge and owned a business here, we're talking close to 50 years. Please don't harm me and the residents that live at our family-owned apartments. The dog pound located in this particular location, whether they kill one dog a day or one dog a month, I don't know, but it will harm me and my residents. There are places that will not be 30 to 50 feet from my neighbors' front doors. Thank you very much for listening to me, and if Phil Osborne is interested in talking to me about an offer for his property, I will be happy to give him an offer. I just don't want him to think that there's no other option for this property that where they can get some money to help fix their church. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. I will say that the animal shelter is a no-kill shelter, so there is no dogs or any animals that are killed.
Excuse me, could you please let me know, I've heard that expression no-kill shelter before. In the past, when people call a place a no-kill shelter, what they mean is no animal will be killed unless that animal is extremely sick and they put him down when they're extremely sick. So you're saying this is going to be different than a lot of animal shelters?
It is a very small fraction of euthanasia.
Okay, so it is a place where animals will be killed. It's just not as often as other places.
Well, first, it's an animal control facility that currently sits, it's about a 60-year-old building that sits within the floodplain. So when it floods, they have to be evacuated. So that's why we've been exploring.
That's why you want to move from where you are now near the hospital? Okay.
We're trying to look at alternate locations.
Okay, and I appreciate you taking into consideration. The apartments are so close. If you go down Rebecca Drive, you'll see it's not a major highway. You know, it's a small dead-end street, and the apartments are built enough close to the street where they're going to be very close to the barking dogs and whatever else comes from that facility. And you'll be able to see where the my parking lot is, where we barely have enough people. We do have room for the people to park, but the people that come to a place like that, because it's so close, it's going to be so close, that some of them are going to be parking in my parking lot. And I just think there are other options better than this.
Just to give you an idea, I've actually looked at the property pretty extensively, and it's roughly 31,850 square feet. The fire station 2 that we just built within the last year, it sits on a lot that's 25,000 square feet. So it's a lot. The fire station lot's a lot smaller than this lot.
Yeah.
That building footprint is about 17,000 square foot, and the footprint of the building we're looking at is about 5,000. The current shelter right now has 4 apartment spaces, so I don't know.
Yeah. This right here goes right over my head. But I know you know what you're talking about. I'm just talking from the things that I know, and I am so concerned with a dog pound or an animal control facility going in across the street where my neighbors would be my residents would be so close. Putting one in your front yard, in your all's front yard. So you all understand what I'm talking about here. These people do not own houses. They do not own little houses or big houses like most of you all probably do. But they're people just like us. And I want them to have a good place to live. I want them to be happy there. And I'm willing to be the price that the city of East Ridge offers these people at that church.
I've got a question, Ms. Jones. Do you currently have an animal or pet policy at your apartments?
We allow pets.
You
You do allow pets in your
Now,
apartment?
we don't allow large dogs, that kind of thing. We don't allow pit bulls. We don't allow animals that are known to harm people.
You don't allow pets in your apartment?
Yeah, I own 3 apartment complexes and we allow pets. But we don't, like I say, we don't allow, the insurance company rules in a lot of ways on what we can allow. And if an animal is on their list as being potentially dangerous, we don't allow it, and then we keep the smaller animals.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we have Gayla Dempsey.
Oh, excuse me for a minute, if you don't mind. I happen to own a cat. So I do like animals.
Just state your name and address, please.
Gayla Dunphy, 1605 Maxwell Road. A few weeks ago, you had the mayor's meeting at the coffee shop, and I truly appreciate it. It was very informative. There's 2 things that come up, and I was just wondering exactly where we are on the discussion and the process. And you, Mr. Custer had said that you would have to contact the state for them to be able to decide if they can do any signage or additional turning information on the roads, because it is Highway 41, if I'm not mistaken, is what you said.
Yes, that's right.
And also with the interstate coming over across the bridge and north and south going to the right, it is really throwing people off that is not living here. And if we could have some more signage on the road on this side of the road, I don't know what all that process is, but we really need that. And we need bigger signs for the interstate. We have these little bitty postage stamp signs, and they're smushed together, and you don't know if you're going north or south.
The traffic engineers, they went through this for weeks, if not months, on that project. But like I say, I'll be happy to reach out and see if there's anything else. I did just talk to our traffic engineers, our traffic shop about, because we had to add some signage as you leave the parkway. Because initially those just said 75 north and south. No, they didn't say 75 north and south, it's just 275 signs. And now it's got the markers above it that lets you know that Ryan Lane is a 75 northbound lane only, as you're turning off the parkway. And some of the confusion also is if you're coming 75 southbound and get off, and then you make the turn. Once you turn left, if you don't immediately get over to the right, then you're stuck in the turn. And that's why the big blocks are on the road to help you get where your turn is. But if there's some ways to add identification, I'll definitely ask.
Awesome, thank you. And the second thing is, the city vision and mission statement was brought up. And I was wondering how far along they go.
So I've actually sat down and met with INTAS last week, and as many of you have heard over the last several months, I've talked about INTAS a lot, which is the Tennessee Municipal Technical Advisory Service. They're helping us with a lot of different functions throughout the city to enhance the experience that we're trying to provide to our citizens. And one thing that they have, they actually do a workshop. I have spoken with a representative, actually met with her this week, on working with council and citizens on the mission and vision, core values, and strategic planning for this body. So I'm hoping to have some more information on that. I know that she plans on reaching out to the mayor and the council, but she will set that up and coordinate that with them.
Okay. And have you decided on when the next date is for your next month's meeting?
February 16th, 10 a.m.
February 16th?
February 16th, 10 a.m., local
Is that
coffee.
please? Okay,
Well,
awesome.
I was going to mention that shortly, but thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to do a brief recap of the meeting with the mayor. He did as well. But thank you for bringing those items forward. Next, we have Daniel Beard.
Daniel Beard, resident at 3421 Myron Avenue, pastor at our newly acquired facility, 707 South Germantown Road, Action Church. I rise in against the amendment for ordinance number 1091. As a pastor, I speak. As a father, I speak. As a person who has had an addiction problem, I speak. But also, 3 months ago, I was elected by my peers as the chairman of the Eastridge Ministerial Association. And I polled those ministers today when they called me because they were disgruntled that this was on the agenda. I was surprised because often we disagree about things. We are each in a different denomination and such, and while we all each serve the Lord and read out of the same book, we have some disagreements. But every single one of those ministers was against amending this ordinance. There's already loopholes and ways to get around this ordinance if a business or a restaurant would like to serve alcohol on the premises and build next to a church. Take example the Speedway, who was really close in proximity of the Cross Path Church. They were able to get it through that loophole and able to move forward in building to sell alcohol from that store. There are others, but as a minister who has struggled with addiction, and many of us have recovery programs at our churches that are not just on Sunday morning or Sunday night or Wednesday night, that are meeting on Friday nights or Tuesday nights, of people who are coming for recovery, that once they get out of a program that has been talked about overcoming their addiction, that temptation is right next door. Yeah, there might be a fence in between. There might be a landscaping barrier in between. But I would like to see still that this amendment not be passed and that there still be a 250-foot barrier in between church properties and schools. It also affects schools. And as a father who has a child that's 4 that will be entering into the Eastridge school system, as her father did, because I went through the Eastridge schools, it disappoints me to see that we would have people who could sell beer, on Monday through Friday when our schools are in session. I don't want to sound non-modern or just a traditionalist. I wear jeans, and often I'm less dressed up on Sundays than I am now. However, I don't feel like this solves anything when we already have a way for these businesses to approach the beer board who regulates these rules. Why give even our beer board a task less to do? They already regulate these rules. This seems to me an easy way out of saying, hey, I don't need to do this job anymore. And we might as well get rid of our beer board if we're not going to have rules for them to enforce. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Philip Osborne.
Give me 5 minutes to get out of here.
You don't want to get up there.
Please state your name and address, please.
Philip Osborne from Eastridge Christian Church. And kind of like this other man, I've got this written down. I understand I only have 5 minutes, but okay, question. Does anybody have any morals anymore? Does anybody have any morals in this world? Have we forgotten? Have you heard about New York? I'm not going to talk about that. But what kind of qualifications do you need to be on this little so-called beer board. Question, have you ever heard a mother scream, "You killed my son"? Well, I could stand up here all day long and quote scriptures, but it wouldn't do any good. When I was 17 years old, I got in a car with 2 other teenagers. We all had been drinking. The boy that was driving stopped at Kingwood Drugstore and he asked me would I drive, because he was too drunk to drive. This is a true story. I agreed to drive his car, and I continued driving down Greens Lake Road. When we got to State Line Road, there was a sharp curve. We didn't make it. My friend was killed instantly. I have lived with this nightmare all my life. My younger brother was killed in a car wreck 5 years later due to alcohol abuse. At first I thought God was getting even with me. But God does not work like that. Brent Lambert's mother walked up to me, I wasn't going to tell this, but I'm going to. About 3 months ago, she said that she would never forgive me. What I did in 1962, 50 years ago, I told her that I had asked God to forgive me. God will forgive you, but people will not forgive you. And what I'm asking is, I don't want alcohol anywhere close to me or our little church. I started to say my church, but it's not my church, it's God's church. But that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. So very sorry for your loss. Next, we have Charles McCullough.
Charles McCullough, 414 Reeves Avenue. I just want to say a couple of things. I appreciate the new the location of the dog park. One, for saving us all money. Two, I just didn't see the point in moving out of the floodway back into the floodway. But I just want to say I support the new location. Second, there's been some discussion about, or not the dog park, the animal control, sorry. There's been some discussion about putting the dog park back in Camp Jordan. I just wanted to remind everybody on that parks plan we did a couple years ago, something like the number 3 response was we want something else out of Camp Jordan. So just keep that in mind when you think about that. Last, I want to make myself a little unpopular and support 1091. I just wanted to point out that I'm sure y'all have all seen the complaints about, we want a fancy sit-down restaurant on Ringgold Road. Everybody wants a fancy sit-down restaurant on Ringgold Road. Right now, where we're going to go. I think this is a first step toward getting the kind of amenities in the city that people want. So I hope y'all support it.
Thank you, sir. I think we're looking at several options and several locations for a dog park, not just a single location.
That's right. We actually, I sat down and looked at, because everybody brings up Chattanooga and the dog park down next to Finley, for instance. It's about 24,000 square feet if you look at the fenced-in area, and that's a combination between large dog and small dog. And when we talked about, just for instance, Springvale Park, the area of Springvale that we actually own, that's 3 times that size. So you could actually put 3 of the same dog parks, just like that they have down near Finley. And that doesn't account for across the street on the corner of Key West. So does that flood occasionally? It does. But if you have 3, you can actually keep one closed and rotate those 3, which is actually what Mr. Miller had recommended in the past. That is an option, and that's property that we already own. It's CDBG grant funded property. So that's just one property that we're looking at.
All right, you mind if I say one more thing? I just wanted to say, if we're looking at dog parks to compare to, I just want to point out the one in East Brainerd. If we're looking to compare, one in East Brainerd is a lot nicer.
Oh, I was just mentioning the perimeter. That's all I was
Perimeter,
looking at. That's all I was.
Okay, yeah, that downtown was just a mud pit.
Yeah, that's all I was doing was perimeter.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Next, we have Tamala McDuffie.
Oh, thank you so much for getting my name right. People always mispronounce it, so my name is Tamala McDuffie, and I live at 1313 Swope Drive. Good afternoon, everyone. I own my own home. I've lived there for 13 years. I emailed a couple of you a few weeks ago about the land across from my home. The land is on the corners of Oakdale and Swope and East End, where the proposed animal shelter may go, which I am in favor of. For me, the land across from me, that land, it needs developed, and it's just kind of sitting there, and nothing's being done to it. It is in the flood zone, but I remember Mr. Custer saying it could be built up above flood elevation. I just wanted to say thank you all for cleaning up Tent City. I appreciate the response and the no trespassing signs that you all put up in all of your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mimi Lowry.
Mimi Lowry, 819 Mount Belmore Drive. Well, I'm about to make some people unhappy, I think, because I'm speaking on both the dog park, the animal services, and ordinance 1091. Unfortunately, on this, I saw online the amendments that were put into 1091 about the fencing, and they had to be closed on Wednesday nights and Sundays and all that stuff. Well, I don't know how many of y'all have ever owned a business, but you cannot tell a business that they cannot be open but 5 days a week. What other business on Ringo Road, other than they want to be only open on 5 days a week? I know Chick-fil-A is only open for 6. That's fine. No, they aren't. Chick-fil-A is still open on Sunday.
No.
No, that's right, it's not. So, but, you know, if you do it on Ringo Road, you're gonna have 8-foot fences coming all the way out, as if we don't have enough clutter coming out on Ringo Road, if you're gonna do barricades all up and down here. I'm against 0. I don't know why we went from 250 to 0. I think that we could find a happy medium in between those two. But as far as a business owner, we are never gonna get any businesses in here. And if you wanna try what people don't understand, anybody in the world could go down here to where Western's, what is next to us? Huh?
Ryan's.
Yeah, Ryan's. They can serve alcohol. They don't have to come before you to serve alcohol. They can serve any kind of alcohol but beer that they want to. They don't have to clear it through the city of East Ridge. It's a state thing. So if you're trying to keep alcohol out, it's not going to happen. I understand these ministers. I understand what alcohol can do. I've had it in my family as well, as most of us probably have. But if you're going to say, you know, you're against alcohol, then don't go to a food store. Don't go any place just about, because just about any place you're going to go, whether it be a drugstore, a food store, a convenience store, just about anywhere now sells alcohol. I understand people with alcohol, it might be a temptation, but that's not the problem of the economy of East Ridge. And, you know, I, as a business owner, if you put those restrictions on me that they're on the zero lot line business, the zero from a place, I wouldn't open up a business here. Why would I spend that much money for you to tell me I had to close it? Just because church was in session. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. I understand all these problems that all these other ministers have and all that stuff, but something's gotta happen to the economy here. Everybody gripes more about the economy in East Ridge not being what they want it to be than they do about we're having beer in a place. And for clarification, the reason that Speedway had to do the dog and pony show they went through was not across the church across the street, it was the playground next door to it. Well, I have yet to see the first person go into Speedway, and I'm there quite a bit, because I'm in with Brian quite a bit, go in there, buy beer, and go next door to the playground to drink it. They might, but I haven't seen them do it. Okay, now, the animal shelter. I drove by there on the way here because I had heard talk of it, and I was definitely against the East End thing. Paying nobody in this world would pay that man $210,000 for a flood lot besides the city of East Ridge to put an animal shelter. So I drove down to Rebecca. On my way here, I wanted to see, I didn't even know where Rebecca was. I had a vague idea. It's the most perfect spot I've ever seen. I understand the gentleman who has the apartments. Those apartments are going this way. The dog shelter is going to be way over here, nowhere near. They're not going to have a parking problem. We are not McCamey. We will never be McCamey. We are East Ridge Animal Services. And I don't think it's going to, if they allow dog, he needs to go down to the animal shelter now and stand outside. You're not going to always, unless you're in there looking at the dogs, you're not going to hear them barking. So, and there is no smell. I have never. My husband used to work next door to it. I adopted so many dogs out of there, it's ridiculous. There's no smell. I've never smelled anything, and I've got a pretty good one. So that's my 2 cents on that. And thank you, East Ridge, for helping us pull off Needy Child Fund again this year. It was a great success. I appreciate the council's help. I appreciate you, Mr. Lishford. You're helping it as well. And we are still going strong and going to be bigger and better next year. We've expanded we're doing school supplies and school clothes now for children. We help find homes for people who need housing that want to live in the city of East Ridge because they like the city of East Ridge. They like our schools. And if all these people that say, oh, East Ridge is all Section 8, go try to rent something Section 8 in East Ridge. You can't find it. I've been trying to help some families do it. There is nothing for rent, except for one place I found today in East Ridge that is Section 8. So, there's mine.
Thank you, and thank you for all that you do for the Needy Child Fund. It is greatly appreciated, all the work and effort that's going into it, and the benefits of the children and the families in their city from that organization. One thing, a quick note, Mr. Flowery, the comment from the beer board was that no outdoor beer sales on Wednesday evenings and Sundays.
Oh, okay.
So,
You
yeah,
did
just
find
wanted
out
to,
this.
I know it's its own hours, I apologize, but I wanted to communicate that. That's your recommendation, is no outdoor beer sales on Wednesday evenings and Sunday nights. So, just want to clarify that. I understand. That is all that we have signed in. However, if anyone else is wanting to come and approach and address the council, is more than welcome to.
Shelter for our animals. We need one. And no, I don't want a new flood zone. I'm not familiar with all the different areas that you're looking at. Hey, my house ain't big enough, but I got 2 Rottweilers, and I'm sure they would love all kinds of animals in their backyard. Bring them on. Put it in my front house. I can't. As far as I was just reading this tonight about the beer board. you have to stay. We all have a choice as to what we do, when we come and when we go, and how we do it. And everyone deals with some kind of addiction, if it's a food addiction, or if it's an alcohol addiction, or if it's a shopping addiction. Addiction is addiction. I don't care what word you put in front of it, it's addiction. But to tell a business that you can't do such and such on a Wednesday night and a Sunday night, well, what about people who go to church on a Saturday and people who go to church on a Tuesday? So are we going to take Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday now? Let's just calm down and just say, look, if you don't want to deal with alcohol, don't go anywhere that has alcohol. But at the same time, don't tell us that we can't have alcohol.
Anyone else?
I'm saying that very quickly, 611 Nottingham Drive. Just to clear up with that, about the alcohol thing, I was chairman of the board at that time. We thought about the hedges and everything, we're talking about the fence, they didn't have to go all the way to the street, but just to block out the different places. We used Ryan's for an example, for the church next door, it's got the car, where the car lot was. And just to muffle the sound of anything going on outside so it wouldn't mess with church. We weren't talking about closing churches on Wednesdays or Saturday or Sundays. It was just, like you said a second ago, it was just to keep somebody getting a permit to do an outside event so the music wouldn't override what's going on in their closed doors. But basically that's, I just want to clear that up a little bit and make sure. The thing is, East Ridge is landlocked. We've always had a problem with that. It's nothing new to anybody. There's eight to nine churches on Ringo Road. I think that's one reason it was brought up to 0 feet. I abstained from that thing. I wanted something like under 25 feet or something, but with using Ryan's as an example, it passed through the board, 3-0-1. We're not trying to shut out anybody or, I grew up in the church. I still go to church. My wife plays piano from the church. It's not really about morals to me. I mean, you can say, well, you ain't got morals if you want that to go through. That's kind of a cop-out type of thing to say to somebody who still is a Christian and, I have an occasional beer myself. But East Ridge, if they want big franchises to come in here, we need to be careful leaving it. If we vote no to this, that's fine, as long as we break through and say Chili's wants to come in and do something. We'll make a variance for that or whatever, kind of like we did with the Speedway. So let's, let's work together and make East Ridge more inviting to people.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to communications. Oh,
Go ahead.
yes, sir.
Of course, I've been a city resident here in the city of East Ridge back in the 80s. Moved out of Chattanooga. I was downtown, introduced to Chattanooga back in 1967. I went to work in combustion engineering, stayed there for 41 years. Worked with Boilermakers in Union. I witnessed a lot of issues about driving drunk drivers. We had issues with employees. We decided didn't have to go on weekends, go to time, miss work. In some cases, even cost them their jobs. Over time, I've noticed those sort of issues went away. The things that have surfaced is Uber cab. I noticed in downtown Chattanooga, there's a lot of venues down there where people go and they socialize. Some live walking distance, some of those eateries where they can have cocktails. Then there's others, take Uber or cab down to those little gatherings. They take the same transportation back. I personally haven't seen a whole lot of automobile accidents or radio people's names being posted in the paper that have been cited for DUI. I can go through all that, and it's very expensive from my experience in learning about that for those boilermakers. We tried to put provisions in there to try to help make the system, and of course it affected not only them but their families. There were lots of wages, convenience of having to go through that process. We had, remember, MIAD? I went up to courts, witnessed a lot of that. We had mothers who came up with mothers against drunk drivers. Very much of that. I think our conduct in relation to not getting out there, just having your cocktail for dinner, these restaurants, and going home, not that big of a problem. These smaller towns, outlying areas, see that that's still an issue, where they're having to drive quite a distance to that meeting to have those drinks and then drive home. So, social drinking, having a little wine, and of course we've heard how wine is helpful for you in certain situations with your meals. In fact, they even advertise it a lot. Have a little glass of wine that helps stimulate your health, things of that nature. But as I say, you know, in just a small city, I mean, the distance from the tunnels to 75. If we had been this year, that people could go in, have a dinner, have a cocktail, have a little wine, glass of wine, and go back home. We have Uber established in our community. We also have structures that would allow them to walk to the, restaurants and things of that nature. It's all over downtown. I'm sure y'all have been downtown around this area. Some of the little side streets up down through there, and they got restaurants all the way down the riverfront. Some of those developments, they built nice, sociable, entertainment restaurants right there on the riverfront parkway. As you're going down to the equator, on the lake. We've seen a lot of automobile accidents, people getting killed, run over. A lot of DUIs, or residents that live in those areas, out there. I haven't noticed that. I read the paper quite frequently. I think that could seem to be a big problem to us, but then we have other generations of cultures and people in their context about here. I'll say not seem to be in their communities, nothing going on. I see little bicycle, backpack riders, and I'm talking about late evenings. They just don't seem very favorable. But I wish they kind of look and see, take a raw brain picture of how the things are evolving around that community in relation to that. I know not too long ago, last summer, I saw a lot of young kids riding around and parking lots over there, the Food Lion parking lot, that big church over there. I'm talking about my wife, a lot of times she don't get off, she works there at the Food Lion, gets off at midnight. And I personally went over there and kind of escorted her back to the house, no further than we live. Just for that reason, there's people out there on their bicycles, young kids and older people out here riding around that time of night.
Understand. If I could, sir, can I get your address? We need that as well. Get your name, we need your address.
5342 Hotel.
I appreciate it, sir.
I'm
Thank you
really
very much.
pleased that I've got an officer that's just recently moved just almost across the street from me, Officer Carter. He's a veteran, and we spoke. I'm really glad that he has moved into my neighborhood and find that man. He's a veteran as myself, of course, with a grad, so that really pleased me.
Well, I appreciate your service, sir. I'm sorry I may have to cut you off here. We'll have to continue moving, but I appreciate your confidence and your service, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? All right, we'll move to communication to council members. Councilmember Cagle, do you have anything? Councilmember Hilton? Councilmember Johnson? Councilmember Witt? I will say that we had a meet the mayor, trying to get out into the city, have open dialogue with citizens and business owners. We had a very productive meeting, I think. We had several items that were brought up, some things that we, Mr. Custer, wanted to discuss. We had questions that citizens had for us. The next meeting will be at Local Coffee at February the 16th at 10 a.m. Everyone's invited. Please come out. Council members, more than welcome to come and attend as well. I didn't make a formal invite to you, but you're more than welcome to come and participate. That's all I have. Just a few minutes. Everything. All right, thank you. We have no old business, so we'll move straight into new business. Not late.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to amend the the East Ridge City Code, Title 8, Chapter 2, Section 8-212, titled Interference with Public Health, Safety, and Morals Prohibited.
Motion to remove all the amendments.
So, let me,
I'll second.
We already have design standards that the new restaurant comes in. We already have specific things that we require for any kind of restaurant.
okay, so let me understand your motion. So your motion is to approve ordinance 1091, but with the removal of the restrictions of sales on Wednesday and Sunday nights and the fencing and barriers?
Yes.
Okay.
Have something added to it.
I have a motion on the floor. Can I have a second? In agreement with the second from clarification? Okay. We can do a roll call.
Well, hold on. Second, and now it's open for discussion.
Oh, that's true. Discussion.
All righty, everything
we've heard tonight about the rules and regulations. Chattanooga, our rules is 500 feet to 200 feet. For any 200 feet is for any consumption, place of consumption. So that's for any church. They have to be 200 feet away from the church in Chattanooga. And also in Hamilton County is the same way. It's stated right here on their application that 200 feet per package, 500 feet for on premises. So there's 500 feet that they have to be away from a church to be able to sell beer. So, that being said, I would like to, with our ordinance 812 stating, no event will permit be issued authorizing the manufacture, storage of beer, or the sale of beer within 250 foot of any school, church, or place of business. But there we're talking about a package store or a church or school. But then it says in the next sentence, the East Ridge City Council may, on a case-by-case basis, grant variances for the distance requirements set forth this section for off-premise beer sales. That means the Speedway and all convenience stores. So I would like to have, I'm against the zero lot line, but I would like to leave our ordinance just like it reads, but also put in 812 that's on case by case. Said, I'm just going to use East Ridge Baptist up here, saying the Gray House next door, Aubrey wants to come in and build a big fine restaurant there. They want to sell mixed drinks out of it. As long as the church next door has no objection, I don't know why this council should have any objection. So that's what I mean by case by case. Let them bring it to us. Just don't automatically give these people, because one of these days we're going to give one right next to a child care center, because that is not covered in our ordinance. So I would plead and beg our council to go along with me on this and leave our ordinance like it is, just add case by case for the on-premise sales for the, I believe, 250 foot there. Not like this lady said out here, those fences are going to look like crap up and down Ringo Road. Because we're trying to do a beautification up and down Ringo Road. We're spending all this money. So we stick these fences out down the side there. And everybody using Ryan's as an example. That place would have to have 3 fences around it. And actually, in the church across the street, you don't touch the border, the property line. So you can interpret the roof. Should we put one across the front lines? Keep the church across the street from that look. So, and I'm not against drinks. I used to be one of the biggest drinkers there was. I testify to that every day in church. So, I would like to see us go case by case, and leave our distance there, and do away with all these trees and fences, and leave our 250 foot there, because Chattanooga and Hamilton County has got it, if not strictly with ours.
We've got, we're landlocked, our business district is,
Yes, ma'am, we're landlocked. But you know, Aubrey's just built this fine restaurant up on 153. They had a chance to come to East Ridge. East Ridge don't have the traffic, they don't have the population to carry a big Aubrey's or a big Cheddar's here on Ringo Road. That's why they won't come here, because they're afraid they cannot pack that restaurant every night like Gun Barrel Road and 153 does. That's my opinion on that. So.
Yeah, I have an opinion in regards to case-by-case basis, and I don't like that just because I feel like we're probably going to have the same battle on a case-by-case basis, and that we have a good corporate type restaurant that wants to come into the city of East Ridge and invest some money. We're going to have the same argument again. We'll have the church that will come forth and they're going to be opposed to it, and then you know, I just again, I'm in favor of it, removing the exceptions just the way it is. I think the corporate restaurant has the right to come in here and put a build up next to the church, just, they have the right to do it there just as much as they do next to, the gas station. So, and, you know, I'm a God-fearing man myself. I've been a faithful member of the local church here in East Ridge for 15 years. But for the last 10 years, I've sit and watched local businesses in East Ridge close their doors. And, you know, it's time to move on. It's time to move into the 21st century. It's time to, you know, last I checked, we got field houses that need to be paid for. We've got sidewalks. We've got animal shelters that need to be paid for. We got to pay the bills. And if this is one way to get it done, then that's what needs to be done. We're not asking the churches to change any of their daily activities. We're not asking them to, you know, pay property taxes or anything like that. We're just saying, look, we need to move forward and pay the bills. So that's my opinion.
And these restaurants, they already sell liquor by the drink, right? We don't have any control over the alcohol.
That is correct. They can apply with the state and can be awarded without any involvement of the city.
Okay. So all we're dealing with is the beer.
That's correct.
I came from an alcoholic household. My father did not drink beer. So I really feel like it's not just the beer that's an issue. So
Alcohol is a choice, that's not my responsibility to.
right. And I don't drink, but I don't judge anybody else who does.
It's a financial decision.
Well, I will say that I was also born and raised in the church all my life. I definitely truly respect the pastors and the churches that come forward for their beliefs and their thoughts. I'm torn in both ways. I don't feel that a church or a restaurant serving beer possibly would entice someone to partake of a drink. If someone is more than willing or wanting to require an alcoholic beverage with their meal, they will go where they can get a beer with their meal. I don't think having another restaurant in this city that would serve beer would increase someone's alcoholism. I may be wrong. That's my own personal opinion, and everyone has one, but I just wanted to, I'm not in disagreement with the ordinance. I will say that we have a motion and a second. Mr. Cagle, so we'll have to proceed with this. And then if it fails, then we can entertain your motion. So we have a roll call. Ms. Middleton?
Let's just hold real quick, just, if there's an amendment to Councilwoman Pelton's motion, then if it's not an amendment to hers, then you would.
If it's not an additional motion,
Right.
it's,
Right.
you can amend.
Before we just the clarification with Councilman Cagle, because I don't want to cut you off if you had an amendment to the current outstanding motion.
Currently, it fails, but I don't withdraw mine because if it fails, it fails.
Right, that's correct.
But to clarify, she has an amendment to remove the restrictions.
Right, well, I think what really, at this point, this is on first, well, that's right, we approved it last time, so, yeah, you had to vote on her amendment, excuse me.
Okay. This is first reading.
Oh, you're right, Councilman. Yeah, you're right. Since it's first reading, really, I think the proper way would be just make a motion that we approve ordinance 1091 that we did without A and B as written in the proposed ordinance.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 1091 without A and B.
As proposed in
As
the
proposed in the original
ordinance, not
ordinance.
1091.
Mr. Lester, do I need to withdraw my motion and her withdraw hers and her make a new one? I
That's fine, correct? Yeah. So what was squared away, that's fine. Yeah. If you want to just take back the original one, Councilman Howard.
I'll withdraw my motion.
I'll withdraw my second.
And now I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1091 without the amendment A and B.
I'll second.
All right, we have the motion from Vice Mayor Hilton, we have the second by Councilmember Chauncey. Do you have any additional discussion? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Hilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
No.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Ordinance has been approved for the first reading. Move to item B.
Ordinance number 1092, an ordinance of the City Council, of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to allow construction of an off-premise sign on a tract of land located at 1417 Maximith Road in accordance with ordinance 1028, Title 14, Chapter 2, Article 6, Section 110, and ordinance 481, Article 4, Section 105.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So Budget Tail is requesting we use the top portion of the sign. When I say the top portion, there's two existing signs there right now. So we're using the very top sign. Currently, that's an off-premise sign, which is a legal non-conforming sign regarding the height and setback and distance of other off-premise signs in the area. So on the same side of that road, you got to maintain 1,000 feet distance. In a radial direction, you've got to maintain 200 feet distance. So you've got a billboard sign on the Wallace side to a tip-top market in that 200-foot radius. We also have another billboard, which are both off-premise signs. Currently, the east side of the road sits 754 feet. That's the one at Wally's, and the one to the tip-top market is 168 feet roughly around there. So that's the reason why staff denied the original request based on all sign requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. So this has been denied, and this has actually been then brought to the council for an appeal.
That's correct.
Do we have a motion, either for or against 1092?
I'll make a motion, we deny ordinance 1092.
A second.
We have a motion to deny ordinance 1092 by Councilmember Chauncey and a second by Vice Mayor Hilton. Do we have any discussion?
The sign down in front of Wally's, the billboard, not on the freeways, the state's control.
One side. I believe one side is.
So we can still cut that as part of our distances.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Hilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
Hold on. Motion is to deny.
Yes.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hilton.
No.
Yes.
That's 2 out of 3. No, we got it.
Yes, I will deny.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes.
It's been a long day.
Ordinance denied. First reading. Item C. Resolution
2886, a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the Assistant City Manager or his designee to execute a contract with HHM, Certified Public Accountant, for auditing services as required by the State of Tennessee and other regulatory agencies.
Assistant City Manager or Finance Director Quarles, will that comment?
Well, as it states in the memo, this is just that we need to go ahead and get our contract in place so we can begin the preliminaries to get ready for the audit. So I could get out of one audit and go to another. So, we've worked with HHM for the past few years and built a good relationship.
Thank you, ma'am. I think they've done a very fine job.
Diane, would you also like to explain that we do have different auditors that come in every year? That way,
Yes.
when you say you built the relationship.
Yeah, yes, we do. Each year, they bring in different people from the staff. We have a partner who oversees it, but he is not here all the time. And they bring in different ones, different accountants to look at different things. And each year, we know some things they're gonna ask for which are automatic, but they always come in and surprise us every year and look at different things. That way they're making sure we're doing all our internal controls the way we're supposed to.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve it, not to exceed 28,900.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Cagle. We have a second by Vice Mayor Elton. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, please, Ms. Miller.
Vice Mayor Helton,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Item D.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city to enter into a partnership agreement with the Chattanooga Red Wolf Soccer Club and the East Ridge Football Club.
Mayor and Council, this is an agreement with the current East Ridge Recreational Association. It's similar to an agreement that was recently signed by Redoubt Recreation Association, and I believe even in Catoosa County. The idea is to bring professional soccer to the city of East Ridge, and also provide that experience to our youth organizations. And I think what we have to ask ourselves is bringing professional soccer to East Ridge something that will benefit our youth program, the mentoring, and the opportunity. I've taken this through the East Ridge Football Club board, and they supported it also.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we enter into the agreement.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Witt. We have a second by Councilmember Chauncey. Any discussion? I do think this is a very good partnership. It's providing footwear appearances for the rec league. It's providing hosting team nights. There's a lot of interactions with our rec league. I think it's going to be very beneficial. Fundraising opportunity as well. So I see this as a positive.
One of the largest benefits that we can receive is their ability to have coaching plans for the parent coach. If you can get that parent coach that may be a little hesitant to coach because they're scared, because maybe soccer wasn't their background, but they really want to be involved, just having that experience around and being able to provide that parent with that knowledge to have the confidence to step on the field and coach their youth team. But I think it's a benefit for sure.
Definitely. Roll call, please. Ms. Middleton?
Vice Mayor Helton,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Item E, resolution 2858.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city to enter into an agreement with Battlefield Outdoors for rentals of recreational activities at Camp Jordan.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Battlefield Outdoors has approached the city to enter into a public-private partnership to be able to sell and or rent their recreational outdoor equipment such as kayaks, bicycles, disc golf equipment on city property. So they have approached us and want to enter into an agreement. We're asking for approval.
Did they have a similar agreement with Secretary?
They operate out of
They operate out of
Well, Bass Pro offered the same deal. When they come in, because it seems to be like we're gonna bring somebody in from Georgia that does not have a business in East Ridge. And we're gonna be taking business away from the business that sells basically the same thing that's being right here is going to sell. So, anybody can run a Bass Pro about this, but they might want to.
Well, to my knowledge, they're not in the business of renting equipment outside of their retail space, but they may sell kayaks. I'm not sure.
The Battlefield Outdoors is wanting to rent equipment, correct?
Correct.
So I think they're renting equipment for guided and guided tours and other things.
Oh, correct. They also give guided tours along the South Chickamauga Creekway. They'll take you down to I think the Graysville canoe launch, and then they'll bus you back up to Camp Jordan. And then, of course, you can also rent the kayaks and take your own non-guided tour down the creekway if you want to, or rent a bicycle, or you can purchase rent disc golf equipment and play the disc golf course.
So I don't think they're going to be competing with both sales.
So they're not going to be selling kayaks. They're just going to be renting.
To my knowledge, they're renting equipment.
Yeah, this
But
resolution.
they could buy one at Bass Pro and go down there and take one of those tours, though. I bet they still take the money.
Yeah. Last time you said they were going to be selling, that's what I asked if they were going to have to get a business license, a sales tax license, either things like that. Yes.
I don't recall that question, but maybe you did ask.
I think it did come up, and it's more about them, their operating, how they would operate, would they operate as a transient vendor? And I think because they're going back and forth, there's a transient vendor occupancy, or transient vendor permit, that can be issued, but we can work that out through our business license.
They're going to be furnishing all the insurance for everybody that take off the park and take down to Georgia, put in the creek and let them float that back down to East Ridge.
Yeah, they'll have to provide all that documentation.
So we have a motion. So 2888.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Moulton, second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any other additional discussion? Roll call, Ms. Moulton.
Vice Mayor Melton. Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Move to item F, resolution 2889.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving the negotiation of and contracting to purchase certain real properties located at 1520, 1524 Rebecca Drive for the purpose of constructing an animal control facility.
Mayor and Council, this has been a discussion that's gone on for a number of years on location, whether we're going to do construction or we're going to buy property in 1 year, build it in 3 years. The properties that we've looked at are all over the city. We felt somewhat confident when we were looking around the east end of Oakdale Avenue. This other property on Rebecca Drive, it became an option after Mr. Osborne came to the Housing Commission meeting, and Councilmember Chauncey was there, and I believe they had a conversation. He did mention during the meeting that he was wanting to sell that property and be able to rehabilitate the church. They wanted to keep their church. So I started looking at the property, pulling some numbers, and like I said a little while ago, it's about 31,850 square feet, the lots combined on Rebecca Drive. And it's the best to compare it to the fire station. That's a 25,000 square foot lot. So this lot is bigger than what we built Fire Station 2 on. We're looking at a $5,000 to $7,000 or 5,000 to 7,000 square foot footprint versus a 16,000 square foot footprint that the fire station sits in. So it's in the middle of the city. It's not in the floodplain. We don't have side elevation costs. Anytime you build in a floodplain, there's always issues with you got side elevation costs. You got a chance to run into wetlands. You got numerous things that could happen over time. So this is to actually, for us to enter into an agreement so we can start our due diligence on the process for proposals to construct an animal shelter, and that we had $210,000, I believe, is what we allotted, and that would provide us an opportunity to make a purchase with the hopes of going ahead and having it replatted and then finding an architect to go ahead and design the facility.
You don't already have a contract with him or anything?
No.
Okay, so give this gentleman out here time to go make a counter offer to him.
Speaker.
Okay.
Kenny, we talked about the animal shelter, because we did talk about the apartments. Can you tell them what you told me about the kennels and things, how they're not quite as noisy as the way that they're built?
Yeah, we have to. So if you take our shelter, many of you in this room have been to our shelter, and they do a great job. They're all sitting here. Please stand up.
Thank you.
Thanks to the Friends group at the CR, y'all sit down here also. So if you think about the way our shelter was built, you got the kennels itself, and then the runs where they go outside during the day are fenced in. So every dog sees each other. They can complain and argue, they get sick, whatever the case may be, right? But if you're down there during the day and it's cold or it's raining, whatever, and they have them inside, you don't hear that. There's none of that. Even with garbage trucks coming and going, you don't have that issue. So newer shelter facilities are built to where there's more division. They have indoor play spaces sometimes. Even if you look at what is the Arc, I think on East Brainerd Road, has an apartment complex directly behind it. It sits right next door to the Taco Bell. It's a doggy daycare facility, and they have an indoor play space. They've got an outdoor play space, but they have an indoor play space where you can actually walk your dog or watch your dog from a webcam during the day, whether at daycare. So there's a lot of new things that we have available when it comes to construction that I think will be beneficial. And we've, over the last 2 years, staff members, current and past staff members, have traveled across the state and looked at different shelter ideas and designs. And we hope that we can obtain a piece of property and get an architect and an engineer that will design what we need to continue to provide the service that we expect.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
This property is in fact surrounded by all commercial, it adjoins all commercial property.
It does.
Do we have a motion regarding 2889?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Chauncey, second by Vice Mayor Hilton. Do we have any additional discussion? Roll call, Ms. Golden.
Vice Mayor Hilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Webb.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Item G, Resolution 2889. A resolution of the City Council for the
the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, approving the application for and acceptance of the National Football League Foundation Grassroots Program.
Mayor and Council, this, we discussed this at the last agenda session. This is a Southeast Development District will come across some funding that will help cover costs associated with the construction of a potential multi-use facility for East Ridge High School football stadium. The facility could potentially host the concession stand, restrooms, player locker rooms, and a workout facility. And grant funds are 50-50 match and range from $50,000 to $250,000. So if we plan to move forward and maintain that facility and create more of a public use, multi-use type facility, this would go much further in helping enhance that facility.
The Alumni Association's got $125,000 of the county's money and what the alumni's got, right? Okay.
75 and 50. So,
Okay. And I think the max of this grant is gonna be $250. I don't know if I can do this right or not. Can I make a motion that we come up with $125, not to exceed the $125,000 with their $125,000 if we receive the $250. I don't want to exceed the $125,000.
I understand what you're saying. When we keep setting these not to exceed, it's becoming difficult through the bidding process. I think if we accept it, because we're not obviously going to build a facility right now. Right. We're not going to build a facility. I mean, we're not building it currently. We still have to come back and get approval to build a facility, or at least go out and bid. There's a lot of processes. But if you would like to go with the not to exceed, we can start there. And
The reason I'm saying that is because we're seeing this from $400,000 to $500,000 for hurdles. That's why I like to do the motion.
So, make sure I understand, Councilman Cagle. Make a motion to approve the efforts, provided that the most the city would be responsible for the sharing would be $125,000.
Yes, sir.
In other words, limit the cap on the award would be $125,000 would be the cap on what the NFL Foundation Grassroots Program could award.
No, we're going to ours, so.
no, I think,
The alumni is $125 plus ours, that's what we're going to, so if we get the $250, that's going to give us the $250 match. Right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, sure, I understand what you understand.
I'm not sure if I,
so this is also a reimbursement. So if we decided to move forward and construct, design, get the facility started, we would only right now have the way I think I'd read this, $125,000 more of city funding.
Correct. Of total.
so let me ask a question. This grant can be up to $250,000. So that is the actual resolution that is on the agenda item. So if we got the max of $250, Councilman Cagle was saying you wouldn't want to exceed $125,
The 50-50 match.
which is a 50-50 max. Correct.
Right. If I-
50 and 25, basically.
Right, what I think he's saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Alumni Association would put in their 125, the city would put in their 125 to match 250 that the NFL would be giving, for a total of 500. So you're capping the potential cost of any, whatever the field house or multi-use structure that you put there would be capped really at 500. That's what it would be capped.
I'm fine with that. If down the road, we find out that maybe it could be less, that'd be great. We gotta go in we need to make $5,000 change order or something. then
Well, we're used to change
we
orders.
can vote on that.
Our house. Because there's a stipulation on the county, it's 50,000.
Correct.
new bathrooms.
Okay.
We don't get in.
To
We
spend.
spend it, and prior to them, they reimburse us. So we're actually having to give $175 up front.
I'll second the motion.
One thing you might perhaps have an insight on is at the time that Ms. Bowers applies for this, and there's discussion as to whether the city gets it, the NFL will likely want to know what the projected expense of a facility is going to be. And so I don't think that the NFL is going to award a $250,000 grant if you're only going to build a $300,000 field house. So I think, I'm only saying that to caution you. I think you're going to still have an opportunity to come back and dictate the size and the type of facilities that you construct out there. To limit you at 125 now might potentially take you out of potentially a good deal later that maybe it costs an extra $25,000, but the NFL didn't give you that because you didn't ask for it. You capped it. I think you'll have an opportunity to come back later and say the only structure we're building is at $500,000. The NFL does that when they conduct their grant fund approval. They'll know what amount you're looking to get. In other words, I don't think you're locked in. If they just say you're getting $250,000, you're locked in. They're going to want to know the type of structure that you're proposing first before they're going to allocate the type of grant that's being proposed.
I've heard 3 or 4 different things that the school has come back on to do, and hasn't been put out front of it yet, but one of them concerns the tennis court. Well, I personally don't want to move the tennis court. It'll be up there in front, when people go up there at night time, don't have to worry about nothing, being all back there in the back some.
I think the latest one, well, the latest one that I seen actually had 2 tennis courts that's completely redone, a basketball court, and then the building will sit on the back portion of the tennis courts that sit closest to the stadium, and then the school would actually access from the field house, or from the stadium side, and then any other use would be like the community center. They would access from the side where the tennis courts are and stuff like that, so you could actually have a tenant working there. It could be open normal business hours, just like the community center is, so it turns into a true community center.
What you're saying, aren't they gonna have to buy that empty lot between that house and the tennis court?
No.
That's back to that problem.
Yes, no, we looked at that, but that wasn't you'd have to approach them about the sale of the house. But that gets the public use, to where it's truly a public use, and because once it becomes a park, that's also a reimbursement expense.
That's great. So some of the latest discussions we had with Mr. James was exactly what Mr. Custer was saying is 2 of the 4 tennis courts would be would potentially be used for the field house and the weight room, and then construction of an outdoor basketball court, and then refurbishing the other 2 tennis courts, which is desperately in need. But as Mr. Custer mentioned, it would give you the access from the public from the side street, and also give you access from the football field behind the stadium. Preliminary numbers, and then this is just running some numbers, like some rough estimates, so we would need to get engineering involved and get more factual, but we're looking at about 460 is what some rough numbers that we come up with, and so we're still working through that.
One savings would be utility costs, distance that utilities would want to have to go for the other.
Yeah, much less cost in this distance where this location is for rental utilities.
Yes, the answer to the question would be yes. What you're proposing would still cover it. Mine was only just a counsel of, you'll have an opportunity to limit it later. I'm just counseling you that you might not want to limit it at this time, just to see what you potentially could get on a return from the NFL. That's all.
It's kind of the direction I was going. Do we limit this, or after you are awarded the grant, then you make the determination of what you accept and what we design?
That's y'all can
It scales us, yeah, the city.
In other words, this will come back to this body, an opportunity to make a determination of whether or not build a field house as proposed for some of the various renderings that have been proposed by Coach James. Y'all might decide, you know what, we kind of are willing to go above more because of the value that you're getting. Or you may say, you know what, we don't need it at $250,000 because of the potential to go up to like that you only need to set it at $125 for the match, and you would have sufficient funds.
But currently, we have a motion and a second for it to be restricted.
That's correct. That's what's out there.
I'll withdraw my second.
Well, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Do we have a new motion for resolution 2890?
I make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Johnson, a second by Councilmember Witt, to approve resolution 2890 as written. Do you have any other discussion?
This is gonna be asked for the 250,000 maximum grant.
No, I think this is just to apply for the grant.
That's to apply. I'm not asking.
Right.
Again, we're not agreeing to any real hard numbers here. We're just-
Right. Any other discussion? Roll call, Ms. Middleton.
Vice Mayor Hilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey,
Yes.
Councilmember Webb,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. My understanding that item H is to be removed.
Right, there's not an update. We've still haven't heard from the state as it relates to approval on the usage and lease agreement that is being proposed. The only update, I have contacted and gotten in touch with the representatives of the Osborne Foundation. They have confirmed that there's been a history of grants issued in connection with improvements to Camp Jordan. They're not aware of, it was Gene Burnett, who I spoke to, who was the secretary at the time, and then also to the current executive director of the Osborne Foundation. And the restrictions that were applied to any of the grants received for the improvements to Camp Jordan related to the naming of the field, something along the lines of the Osborne Foundation field. And so there, at least on that level, there are still, I've still got conversations to have with the state comptroller to determine whatever arrangement that would be reached with, between the city and Redwoods, if any, complies with any regulatory comptroller requirements. And then we're still waiting to hear from the Department of Recreation and Education Services, excuse me, the Division of Recreation and Education Services, which is in the TDEC department.
And they are meeting, and we're supposed to have them back the afternoon of February the 8th to be on.
Right. We did get notice that they're supposed to have a, they call it a some regional meeting to make a further inquiry into this proposal.
And I apologize, we didn't mention that this actually, item H was the agreement with the Chattanooga Red Wolves as it relates to our training facility.
That's correct.
So that's what we were discussing. I apologize for not mentioning that at the time. And if I may, before we adjourn, back to the field house and stuff, what I'd like to kind of those aren't on there. Got to move forward and then put on there. Is during the meeting, Mayor, Fieldhouse came up and we had citizen input wanting to try to form a education committee within the city to help aid the school system, teachers, alumni association, in the city. So I think that's a very good thing that we're going to try to move forward to form an education committee to address some of these issues. So let me move forward to the items we move forward. Will this be? So we'll have item I. Excuse me.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city to accept a donation from Vision East Ridge LLC, doing business as Hampton Inn East Ridge, in the amount of $2,500 for the East Ridge Animal Services Department.
Motion to approve 2891.
A motion by Councilmember Cagle, a second by Vice Mayor Hilton. Any discussion? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Hilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. We got a motion to change the resolution. Yes. Item J, Resolution 2892.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, to waive the fee for use of the Camp Jordan Amphitheater and track by our House Studios Transformed Extreme and Local JROTC programs for a fundraiser race to help benefit the Wounded Warrior Project.
I make a motion.
A motion by Councilmember Witt, second by Vice Mayor Hilton. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Williams.
Vice Mayor Hilton.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Item K, Resolution 2893.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, Tennessee, authorizing the city manager or his designee to purchase 16 aluminum bleachers from BSN Sports for the National Intergovernmental Purchasing Alliance.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Hilton, and we have a second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I had some discussion. Shortly before the meeting, I did some research on the bleachers. Just going on BSN Sports, they got a website, they got an online catalog where you can look at the bleachers. And I was just looking at the prices, and actually, you did a good job finding the bleachers with the least cost. I think I put it, they had a little website where you could put the amount of bleachers you want in your box and you check out and see how much it costs. Well, it's going to be, I think for the average buyer or whoever, it's going to be $10,000 worth of what they quoted us. So I was excited to hear that we were getting a $10,000 discount on buying the bleachers. So I went further and looked to see what it would cost to have the bleachers powder coated. And I know we're doing a whole different thing down there, color scheme. And I believe, I asked Mr. Wilson to get a quote for me to have the 16 bleachers powder coated. And it was going to be $100 per bleacher. So that would bring the quote from 38, let's see, it was 38,695. It would bring it up about $1,600 to have the bleacher powder coated.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is powder coating the seating of the bleachers so that it would have some more color to it. So a couple of the options were like you could go with normal silver, and then there was navy and red for this particular bleacher. And our color scheme for the concession stand is the navy blue, so I was kind of recommending the navy blue if that's what you guys want to do.
I thought it would be a nice picture, just the more color we had down there.
It would add an additional $1,600 to this total purchase. It's $100 extra per bleacher. So the total price would go from $38,695 to $40,295. So $1,600 increase.
Is it durable?
I'm not really not sure it comes as an option, to the standard bleachers. We started researching the colors, late this afternoon, so I really don't have any more information.
If the funding is approved, staff can make that decision based on the research that they do. If we such reviews, contact the SM directly. We've been working with them for years on a number of projects. They're going to tell us whether it's actually worth going with the tire company brought up. That's up to you, Bob. I'm not interested in that too.
I just thought it was a pretty small upgrade to enhance the appearance, since we're putting $2.5 million in there already.
Any additional color is going to enhance your car, so yeah, I would recommend it. Based on additional $1,600, it would probably add to the car.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Are we amending, or are you saying, Mr. Custer, that can
Yeah,
be discretionary by staff?
It could, if you set a not to exceed, if we know right that it's an additional $1,600, you set a not to exceed that plus the $1,600, and we can decide if we think that's what's best. That would be the best way to make the purchase. And then if not, then it would be what the original request was for.
I make a motion to approve the additional powder coating, not to exceed $1,600.
Yeah, so take the cost up to $40,295.
So we have,
I'll second.
okay, any other discussion? We had a motion on the floor, do we need to amend it, or do we want to recall? Yeah. Councilmember Richie.
Councilman Wood seconded the original one after, so let's just.
No, I seconded her. Okay, and she seconded.
She made it first on the original one, you seconded it.
Yeah, I wrote it down. She made it first, you made it
Okay, then
second.
I
I wrote it down.
I thought it was another before that.
For this reason.
So why don't you withdraw your original motion?
Okay, I'm sorry.
And I make a motion to approve
Resolution 20.
resolution 2893 with powder coating, not to exceed $1,600, not to exceed $40,295.
And I second.
I didn't have to change anything. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey.
Yes.
Councilmember Witt.
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. Okay, we have an item that should have been brought up during communication, and that was our recommendation for the applications, resumes for the city manager. So, council's to review the provided resumes and come back with a recommendation of 5 that they would like to proceed. Prior to asking that, I would like to mention some information that I personally have didn't realize, that's been presented to us, that MTAS, Municipal Technical Advisory Service, will provide, at no charge, to a member of MTAS, advertising and recruiting. They will also help conduct interviews and assessments. They will lead and conduct interviews for us, provide and conduct exercises, and actually score each one of the applicants in the resumes. They'll also lead and assist in a citizen committee to involve citizens to conduct interviewing and assessment and provide their recommendations to the board and to the council. So, with that being said, I want to fill the city manager's position as quickly as possible. However, I want to do the due diligence that we get the correct and most fitting city manager that we can, that will fit in with the current council, with the current staff, and have a good rapport with their citizens. So I will ask the council how they'd like to proceed. We can proceed with the 5 recommended internally. We can proceed with the 5 recommended and ask for MTAS to get involved in evaluating 5. We proceed us with interviewing, scoring their recommendation, or we can reset and start with them actually recruiting additional if we feel we need some after reviewing the applicants we have. So these are some things I want to actually just present to council, see how you'd like to proceed.
Well, I personally am satisfied with the 5 that I've got here. I've read them, I've been on the internet, checking them out and checking why they left their last job, why they left the job before then. So I'm satisfied with the 5 I've got here, and I believe internally, I believe we can make our own decisions. That's what we're making to do, so.
Any other?
I'm just not clear about the process. Once we pick 5, we're going to have 5 interviews here and there in the council chambers, 5 different people who want to leave the task out.
We would conduct interviews, open, yes, to the public. Whether we can get all 5 of them here during one, or if we have to have a special call meeting, they would all be open to the public too.
If we get the task involved, we can still take the 5 that each one of us has chosen and have them.
Along with us, yes.
I think it's just going to take it much longer.
I would like to get MTAS involved with the public hearing on 5.
I agree with them. I think that it would be a good idea. Kenny and I talked about that yesterday.
I do as well. That's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up. I think MTAS has the resources, the knowledge, the experience. I like the idea of actually pulling citizens in, getting some citizen input. Again, I don't want to intentionally delay, but I think it's important that we get the best applicant and utilize their experience and their knowledge, because they do this for other cities. They do it for the entire state. So I personally would like to pull them in and pull them in and have them start immediately. It's something we can have them start immediately. It's not something we have to wait 30, 60 days for them to do.
So they have the ability to do a lot more than what we have ever asked for them to do in the past. And 13 city managers in 18 years, it's probably worth having them do the full-blown process to eliminate the revolving door of city managers that we currently have. That is just my personal opinion. I'm not getting into your opinion, so it's completely up to you all, but, you know, they have said the only thing that they've ever done for us was evaluated the resumes, and if they have many other things, and I'll give you an example. One of the cities, they gave them a budget issue, they had 30 minutes to fix it. And they had to do a presentation within 30 minutes on how to fix that budget item. So, I mean, it could be a vast array of things I mean, it's scenario based. And I went and sat on these same type of panels in other cities for the fire service, and it can be very beneficial. I think if you're looking for somebody that's going to come in and stay 2, 4, 6, 8 years. For what it's worth.
Thank you. I do agree. So I think the majority of the council wishes to invoke MTAS in to come to assist in the interview process and scoring and providing recommendation for the council to vote on. I would, at this point, I think we want to take the 5 applicants and move forward with that. Is that council consensus? I know, but we're going to present them here just in a second.
Or either the 8.
Council's choice. We'll go with 5, is Mr. Cagle. Question or? I'm fine with 5, personally.
Yeah, I'm fine with 5. I think there's a few in there.
You're in.
Too qualified.
No, you said 5, so you're in agreement with 5? Okay?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we choose the 5 candidates and have him task do the interview. Word that.
We need a motion. Let's have a motion for that one, just so we've got it memorialized.
And that MTS do the interview?
They do a first round, not a. You'll still, no matter what, his body will still do interviews. But they do the previous they do all the due diligence to get them to that point. So hopefully you're not interviewing somebody when they walk up and they sit there and do this, that they've wasted your time or you've wasted their time.
We have a motion by Councilmember Chauncey. Do you have a second?
Second.
A second by Councilmember Webb. Roll call, please, Ms. Miller.
Vice Mayor Hilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Chauncey,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. We will proceed with 5 seats. Councilmember? Yeah, I think you just start with the same roll call and whichever one they've got that they picked out. Okay. We'll do a roll call, and then we'll present the 5.
Yeah, and I'd probably recommend the ones you identified, if you've got time, I'd just put them in alphabetical order, just to eliminate any perceived preference of them, if you've got a moment there. That's correct, this is just the top 5 from each respective council members here.
I didn't have one